I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.
What up, me militia? I mean Joe Grizzly. And when I'm not planning a weekend meet and greet so that my friends can meet my new perfect girlfriend, even though I know it's going to turn into a bloodbath, I'm at the Grizzly Cave, watching movies, reading comics, listening to metal, and of course, crushing beers. And I am back at the Grizzly Cave to bring y'all a review of a new movie brought to you by the creators of Barbarian. And I am, of course, talking about Companion. But before we get started, if you like this video, like it. If you like it enough, please head over to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit that bell notification so that you never miss an episode. Also, please follow me on all social media platforms so that you can get channel updates, movie news, and all forms of badassery. So is Companion the first big hit of 2025? Let's find out. This is Grizzly Grade Reviews. Iris is the perfect girlfriend and is loyal to a fault, but when a weekend getaway to meet her boyfriend Josh's friends turns into a bloody nightmare, secrets are revealed that will shatter Iris's life and her perception of reality. So as I said before, this movie is produced by Zach Krieger and the creators of Barbarian, but is directed by Drew Hancock. And right off the bat, knowing that this movie is produced and has any kind of involvement with the people who did Barbarian, I automatically was interested. For those of you that have watched my reviews or listened to my reviews over the years, since Barbarian was released, I have championed that film and I will continue to champion that film. I felt like it was one of, if not the best movie of 2022 as far as horror goes. And that year was absolutely stacked with phenomenal horror films. It was probably the best year of horror that we have gotten in at least a decade. Just banger after banger after banger, and to me Barbarian was the best of the bunch, and that automatically had my expectations up in the stratosphere. I was so excited to see this movie, and then I got a notification on my AMC app that there was a secret screening, and I had never done one of those. It was guaranteed to be a horror film and it was guaranteed to be rated R, but we have no idea what the film is. You go in completely blind, and it was something that I just never did before. So I took a shot because I knew it was either going to be Hard Eyes, The Monkey, or Companion, or some indie horror film that I had no idea what it was. Either way, I felt like I could win. Even if the movie was bad, I would still have gotten to see a movie that hasn't been released yet, and it would be just a cool experience. And to my luck, I actually got to see Companion. And I already had tickets to it, but I got to see it a few days early, and it really gave me enough time to really marinate on it and see how I actually feel about this movie. And I can say after seeing it, not only was my expectations met, they were surpassed. This movie is fucking awesome. And with that being said, I do not want to spoil this movie for anyone. So I am going to move on and talk about the positives and the negatives. And then after I do that, those are all going to be spoiler free. I'm going to have an actual spoiler section where I'm going to go more in depth with the film for the people who have actually seen the movie and just want to hear my thoughts. For the people who have not seen this movie, go ahead and listen to the positives and the negatives, and then I will give you fair warning when I'm about to go into spoilers, and I will include a timestamp probably around here in the corner of this video so that y'all can jump to that timestamp, hear the spoiler-free verdict, and then go see the movie, and then you could come back later and see what my in-depth thoughts were. But no worries, I'm going to warn you before I go into spoilers. So with that, let's get to the positives. So starting out with the positives, first and foremost, the cast is absolutely phenomenal, particularly Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher. Sophie Thatcher is an actress that I have been paying attention to since I've seen her in Yellow Jackets. She has done some pretty damn good work as of late. She started out with Yellow Jackets that I remember her seeing her first in, and then she went to The Boogeyman, and although The Boogeyman was kind of lackluster, she was phenomenal in it. She did great as the lead, and she actually got me excited to see what she was going to do next. And then last year, She was part of the cast of the movie Heretic. And if y'all know, Heretic made my top, I think it made my top 3 films of last year. And she is one of the reasons why that movie was so good. And to say that I feel like she is a new star on the rise is an understatement. And this movie just puts a big exclamation point on that. She is definitely someone that y'all need to pay attention to, because not only is she doing good work in the horror genre, she is just a good actress all around. She is great at portraying emotion with her facial features and mannerisms. She is good at making you believe that her character is in distress, is spiraling into despair. She's great at everything she does, and this movie is a testament to that. So to say that she has quickly climbed the ladder into my list of favorite modern actresses is an understatement. She is right up there for me with Mia Goth, Catherine Newton, and Samara Weaving. I think that she is going to be one of the best modern scream queens. I'm very excited to watch her journey up to that level of progress in her career, because she deserves it. She's doing a fantastic job, and she is really, really, really good as Iris in this movie. She is definitely the standout out of all of the cast, and in the movie in particular. And then you got Jack Quaid, who plays Josh, Iris's boyfriend and the man of her dreams. And Jack Quaid is also someone that I have been paying attention to lately. I first seen him in The Boys, where he played Huey, and I liked him in that, and I was like, I just like this kid's acting. I think he's a great actor. And then he started taking on these roles that were so appropriate for his personality and his character that I don't think the guy has really missed yet. He just knows how to pick these roles that are perfect for him, and he executes those roles perfectly. And that's not to say that he is limited in talent or in range. He actually takes these roles that fit his personality, and then it shows you his broad range in how he can act, and how he can flip things on a dime and make you think that he is this type of person, and then out of nowhere he becomes this whole different person. And he has actually perfected that art for me. I've seen him do this in a few movies, one being Scream 5 and the other one being Scream 6, in small little cameos. He didn't really have much of a role in that movie, but you just get to see him, like put on this mask that appears to be his actual personality, and then you get to see him just bust out and show off his range. And I look forward to also watching him ascend into greatness, because I think that he is going to be just as good, if not better, than his father. And I know that anytime I see a movie and that he's in it, I know that movie, even if the movie itself isn't good, I know that he is going to make that movie better, no matter what the quality of the movie is. I think the premise, the story, and the ideas that are used in this movie, they take a modern trend in this, particularly in horror movies now, and they, instead of attacking it and bringing it up in a more cliche or a more common way like it has been used recently, they actually take it to the next level, in my opinion. They take this concept, and again, instead of just bringing out this bland paint by numbers horror movie on this subject matter, they actually put some thought into it, and they put a lot of emotion into it, and actually make you sympathize and put you in the situation of all of these characters and how they would actually react, or how they would handle this situation. And it turns out to be batshit crazy. And I know that if I was in this situation, I wouldn't know what to actually do. And I would hope that I never get put in this situation. I hope that the theme of this movie, I hope it never progresses to this point, because I feel like that if it does, we're past the point of no return. And I really wish that I can go into more vague detail with that, but I'll do that into the spoiler section. It just makes the audience think about morality and what the line is that shouldn't be crossed. And after it has been crossed, where do you go from there? Do you live with it, or do you ignore it, or do you just go with the flow? And I think it's a really interesting commentary that's not super heavy-handed, but done in a very tasteful and a very unique way. Along with that, this movie is a horror comedy. And when I tell you that most of the time horror comedies just cannot get it right. They cannot balance the horror and the comedy perfectly. Either the horror is too horrific, so when there is a moment of comic relief, it just feels campy, or it's too funny and just has a little bit of horrific acts that happen in it. And it never, the balance is never done right. There's only like a handful of movies that's ever done this right. One of the perfect examples is Scream, because Scream does a good job as a whole, as the entire franchise, of balancing that horror and that comedy. And Companion actually does this perfectly. Companion manages to have you in the grip of suspense, and everything is just really, really tense. And this shocking moment of violence will happen, and then the comic relief will come in, and it is not just this brain dead comic relief. It's like really well thought out and really smart in how they do it. And the audience, when I went and seen this, went from being like gasping at something happening to laughing out loud, and not in a like, this is fucking stupid laugh, like in a, oh shit, like what the hell, like it's a what the fuck laugh. And there are moments in this movie that are hilarious, and they are appropriate comedy, and that's something that I feel like is really hard to do, but Drew Hancock and company actually did it right. They did it perfectly, and I'm glad that they did, because I did not want this movie just to turn into this weird, awkward movie where you don't know if it's okay to laugh, or you think it's dumb to laugh, or the movie just is dumb, period. And particularly with the subject matter that we're dealing with here, I think that they did a phenomenal job of maintaining that balance. The violence and gore in this movie is very minimal, but when it does happen, it's pretty horrific and it's shocking. There is one kill in particular in this movie that was not on the same level as the yoga kill in A Violent Nature, but it got the same audience reaction when it happened. Everybody in the audience was like, fuck yeah. It was pretty damn awesome. It was a very unique kill that I don't think I've ever seen before. So it definitely thought outside of the box when it comes to that, like giving us a kill that I don't think we've ever seen before in a movie. And it was pretty badass. The soundtrack and the score of the movie are pretty good too. They're very appropriate to the themes that we're exploring in the movie. The cinematography is great as well. Is it anything groundbreaking like Nosferatu or Dune or even Alien Romulus? No, but it's still a very well shot movie and a really pretty film to look at. Like nothing seemed to really get left behind, and I appreciate that as in filmmaking in general, when nothing actually gets neglected. As far as the negatives go, I only have one negative, and it's very, very minuscule. There is a point in the movie where maybe about midway through the second, going into the third act, that the rules that have been established in the film and in this universe, the waters kind of become a little muddied, because there's certain situations where this has been established that this cannot happen, but somehow it does. And that to me is just, it's very minuscule. It doesn't ruin anything. It doesn't warrant any high criticism or anything like that. It was just one of the things that I did notice after being in this movie for about 45 minutes. I knew that these were the rules that were allegedly established. Why is it this moment applying to those rules? So it's a very nitpicky negative, but it's one that I did want to point out. But when I tell you that's all the negatives I have for this movie, that's it. I don't have any other negatives. This movie was fucking great. I loved this movie. But before I get to the verdict, I do want to go into spoilers. So this is where the spoiler section begins, guys. And I unfortunately have no other choice but to do this, because I'm not going to be the one who ruined it for you. I'm not going to be the one who you went into this review, even though you went into a review of a movie that could possibly contain spoilers. I'm not going to be that guy that spoiled this movie for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you to skip to this time code right here to get to my final verdict, and you'll be fine. I won't include any spoilers in the final verdict, but I have to talk about this movie. So with that, we are getting into the spoiler section. So proceed with caution. You have been warned. So I thought about bringing this up into the first part, but I didn't want to draw attention to it at all, because if I did, y'all would have got on your phones, y'all would have Googled it, and it would have been ruined for you. Even though at this point it's not really a spoiler, because good old movie studios, they just like to put stuff in the trailer that just ruins the entire movie. But this time they took it a step further, and I didn't really notice this until I paid attention to the movie promotional art and stuff, that they gave away the movie in the promotional art. And that was brought to my attention by another creator. And the moment that I seen it, I was like, damn, they really did just give away this movie. If someone really looked at this promotional, this poster for this movie, they would 100% have the movie spoiled for them. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, this did not have any bearing on how I felt about this movie. It simply just spoiled the reveal that happens 20 minutes into the movie, if that. It might be 15 minutes into the movie. And again, it did not have any bearing on how I feel about this movie. This movie is still fucking awesome, and I still loved this movie. And that spoiler is Sophie Thatcher's character of Iris is a sex robot. Now, saying that she's a sex robot is kind of being a little vague about it. She is more than a sex robot. She isn't just a doll that you put in a closet and you only bring out when you want to have fun time. She is actually a android or a cyborg that has artificial intelligence that legitimately becomes your perfect companion. She learns as she goes through what you like, what your needs are, and in addition to that, a backstory is programmed into them to where they literally have this entire story of how you met and how you fell in love and how you are together now. That story gets put into their programming so they 100% believe it, and they have no idea that they are a robot. They are not self-aware whatsoever. And if you didn't know that she was a robot, you would just think that she was this really sweet, loyal, good, wholesome girlfriend that honestly any man would want. She's pretty. She has a great personality. She is caring. She cares about your needs, even if they are a little bit to a fault. And it's something that you just wouldn't notice. And then after the reveal, you kind of see that programming pretty much just like caters to incels. And that's the best way I could put it. Now, not to say that there isn't females that have these companions in this world, because we don't know. But what we do know is they are completely subservient. And when I say that they're subservient, they're not necessarily bowing down and calling them master or anything like that, but they live to make you happy. If that's the best way that I can put it. If they cannot make you happy, they get upset, and not with you, but they get upset with themselves, and they actually become self-conscious because this AI technology is so advanced that you really don't know that you're not dealing with a real person unless somebody told you. Iris genuinely cares about Josh. She genuinely has these feelings. She has these wants and these needs for him, and it's just crazy to see after you know the reveal. You just see it and you're like, this is crazy. And obviously this is fiction, but if we continue in the trajectory that we are in this world, this is something that could be a possibility. Now, in the real world, we do have sex robots, but this is not just, they're not just sex dolls. They're living beings, and they have consciousness. And that's what I meant when I said in the spoiler-free review, like, at what point do we sit back and we think about when this line is crossed, when Pandora's box has been opened and we have created artificial life like this? There ain't no going back. It will become ingrained in society, and then you'll be in a situation to where you could possibly have this companion, but it's not reality, it's fiction. And then it gets to a point where, well, is it reality or fiction? Do these things deserve to have life, to have free will, to have what they want to have, and not just be subservient to one person? It's all really thought-provoking, and it's not heavy-handed at all. And that's what I really liked about it. It's not something that makes you like just, it's not something that beats you over the head with it. It's written so well and makes you just think about this subject entirely. And that's something that is really refreshing, because this new genre of artificial intelligence horror has already became played out. Megan kind of kicked it off. She kicked off the boom of AI horror, and ever since then we've had a few movies, and all of them have been bad, and they've all been the same paint by numbers, beat by beat movie, until you get to something like this that is just really damn good, and the proper way to explore this topic, in my opinion. And this whole situation with Iris and everything, and how it unfolds on screen, is just a testament to how good Sophie Thatcher is, because there are moments where Iris will tell you, like, the best way I could put it is she'll act like an iPhone. Josh will ask her, hey, Iris, what's the weather look like outside? And she'll be like, it is sunny and 55 here in wherever they are. Like, and she's literally turns into Siri. And then she seamlessly transitions right back to Iris. And it should be jarring, but it's not. It's actually, again, seamless. It's a perfect transition from the persona of Iris to the programming part. And Sophie Thatcher does this perfectly. What was also refreshing is they don't make her like a Terminator, or like Megan, they don't make her this superhuman killing machine. She has our strength, and preferably the strength that is comparable to her build. And the only thing that can really be adjusted is her intelligence can be adjusted. Her programming is still built in there to where she can't do certain things unless that programming is turned off. But she cannot be enhanced into this superhuman, unstoppable killer machine, and that just grounds it perfectly for me. It makes the movie more of a reality than it does science fiction, if that makes any sense. As I said before, Jack Quaid is great. He is the ultimate incel, and that's the best way that I can put it. There are moments, there's no way that he didn't study like online Reddit threads to see how to get in that persona, to see how these people actually works. For those of you that don't know what incels are people who, instead of actually changing themselves, doing better for themselves, and focusing on that to find true love and to find a partner, if you will, they just blame all women or blame outside factors that have nothing to do with it on their shortcomings and why they are incapable of finding a partner to to love. And he is like the evil overlord of incels because he ends up purchasing Iris and being like the person that is not suitable to have her as a companion because he just abuses that power. And it goes along with the whole situation of where they're at, that you think that this is just a meet and greet, and then Iris is just going to go crazy in her programming and break away and kill everybody. But that's not the case. There's actually a pretty well thought out plan where Jack Quaid and his friends have plotted to use Iris to execute their plan and get what they want while being consequence free. And Iris pretty much would take the fall for it. And I thought that was also a smart way of doing this. The way that he is calculated, and he's not a evil genius by no means, but he is like, he's calculated. He fucks up the whole plan, but it's the fact that he even thought about it and he actually executed it was pretty impressive for that character. But leaving those little flaws in where he's dumb enough to actually tell Iris that she is a robot, and then she kind of becomes self-aware. And even though it is an existential crisis and she can't believe that she ends up accepting it and deciding that she deserves to live and she deserves to be able to think for herself and not go down for this heinous act that they have tried to pin on her. And as I said before, in the messaging and the themes of this movie, I feel like that, again, this is the best way that this should be written and how it should be portrayed and talked about, with the dangers of AI. And not just the dangers with AI, but it's a moral conundrum, to be quite frank, because we get to a point where we start thinking, do machines feel? And if technology continues to advance and AI programs continue to evolve and adapt, will they gain sentience? Will they become people? And that is something that is really crazy to think about, but it's something that needs to be thought about, and it's something that needs to be talked about, because after something becomes self-aware and it actually has feelings, and make no mistake, Iris has feelings. She feels pain. She gets upset. She can cry. She can do all that. Now, is it all synthetic as far as like the tears? Yes, there's no blood because it's like silicone stuff, skin rather. And it's one of those things is at work, the line is so blurred that should we even do this? Should Pandora's box be opened? Should this line ever be crossed? And I can say after seeing this movie, I don't think it should, because if you don't start it, it can't begin, if that makes any sense. So I think this is a pretty good cautionary tale that we shouldn't even do this, not for our sake, but for the sake of, as crazy as this sounds, the sake of the machine that this is actually going to be happening to where they think that they're real and they're not, but they have feelings and all this. It is a very, very, very crazy subject to think about, but it's even more crazy to see it laid out for you, and for you to actually have to sit down and think, what would you do? How would you handle this situation? Because I can tell you right now, I don't know if this ever happens. I'm staying away from it because I don't know how I would handle this situation. I don't know how I would. What right do I have to say something's not real when it clearly is? So I don't know. It was very well done, and not in a heavy-handed way to where they were just beating you over the head with the message. They were they were genuinely asking questions in this movie, and I really appreciated that. It was very, very interesting and very thought-provoking. And I appreciated that so much because normally we'd just get robot goes on rampage after finding out that it's a robot, blah, blah, blah. This one's more on the lines of robot gets the hell out of there, out of a toxic relationship. That's another theme that this is exploring, a toxic relationship. How loyal can you possibly be? How subservient can you possibly be to your partner? Should you be that subservient to your partner? Should you be that loyal to your partner? I think that the statement "loyal to a fault" is put well on display here. It is to its extreme, but it's something that it's a very real thing. And I thought that I just really appreciated how they explored a number of themes in a unique way, instead of just saying robot kills everyone, robot loves one person, finds out that they're forced to to love that person. We needed depth, and we got it. And I think that Drew Hancock did a fantastic job of conveying this message and directing this movie. So overall, guys, I loved this movie. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was thought-provoking. I thought that it was easily the best movie we have gotten this year, and will probably remain one of the best movies of this year. And I'm so thankful for that, because now Zach Krieger and anybody involved in Barbarian, they've once again hit another home run. Even though he didn't direct this, the fact that his hands were in it, it just means that the guy's getting a name for himself, and now he's bringing all these other people in, and they'll soon start getting the names for themselves too, and then we'll just have more good horror and more great writing and directing out there. And that's a win for everybody. And I love the cast. I love the movie, period. I love watching Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid do their thing on screen. I thought that they were both phenomenal, and I feel like this movie is well worth going in and watching, even if you did get spoiled by whatever spoiled it for you. I still encourage you to please go see this movie. This is the first big hit of 2025, and I cannot recommend it enough. So with all that being said, Companion gets a 4.75 out of 5, and it's 100% Grizzly grade guaranteed. Go check it out in theaters now, guys. You don't want to miss this one. Coming up next is going to be Heart Eyes, the new Valentine's Day slasher brought to you by Jason London. I think it's Jason London. He's the guy who did Happy Death Day. And the trailer looks pretty damn gnarly. I hope it didn't give away all the kills in the movie. It's got Devon Sawa. What more could you want? So hopefully it's pretty good. And there is a couple movies in between this and Captain America Brave New World that I wouldn't mind reviewing, but it's going to be all a time thing. So if I can get to them, I get to them. If I don't, I'll review them sometime in the future. But I am excited about this, and I'm excited about Captain America Brave New World. I know a lot of people are kind of skeptical, and I am tempering my expectations, but I am optimistic that this movie is going to get the MCU back on track. At least it will be a good watch. So hopefully I'm right. So stay tuned for that review and the others. And remember, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.